Welcome back to part 2 of the vintage enamel table restoration. This table is so cute, and my client wants it restored. It was her father's, and she's going to use it in her kitchen. In the last video, I stripped it and I started to sand. I can't begin to tell you how much sanding there was with this piece. There were so many layers of paint on it. So there was like an original layer of white, and then someone painted it black, then it was green, then it was white again. And who knows how many layers of each of those colors were on it. All I know is I was happy every time I'd see green, and then I started to realize that there was black under there, and again to see the white. So I used a combination of a scraping tool and also those little wedges. My friend Dar sent me these little rubber wedges that you put your sandpaper in, and that was helpful for getting in those crevices. But it just seemed never ending, and it seemed like when I was ready to give up or carry on to the next step, then I would see more paint. I would use 80 grit until I couldn't use that piece of sandpaper anymore, and I would switch to a new one. So this is why I prefer to do painting rather than restoration. This just isn't my bag. I just was weary of all of the steps that it took to remove all of that paint. Whenever I would use the scraper, sometimes I would damage the wood, but I found out that this was pine. I mean, it was super soft wood. I assumed it was pine. But, it was easy to get the scrapes out of it then with sandpaper, but it was a job. For those of you who restore, I salute you. So I was doing this out in the sun, and it was pretty darn hot. So I found a new solution and a new use for the mister bottle. Finally, after 2 bouts of stripper and endless sanding, I gave up. I really did try my best to get all of the paint, but I felt like it was time that I began to work on cleaning it up and then getting some stain on there. I felt like the stain that I was going to use, which is Dixie Belle's Whiskey Barrel, I thought that it would cover up any leftover paint. I simply used shop towel and the stain and just wiped it on. And it's a squeeze bottle, so I just squeezed it onto the rag and just wiped it on. And I really liked the way it took. But I wasn't completely happy with it. And again, I was kind of tired. So I put a coat on and then I called it a day. And when I came back the next day, I added even more stain to it, and it was looking better, but I could still see some of that paint. So I came up with a solution. At times I used the mister bottle. This is a water-based stain, so it didn't hurt at all to use the water with the stain. So you can see how it's looking, and some of the stain also didn't take to certain parts of the wood. So, again, my second gap solution really brought this piece home. I decided I was going to add some white magic, which is also a voodoo gel stain from Dixie Belle. And I'm so glad I did, because I was able to I used a large brush with it this time, and I just kind of wanted to do sort of like a dry brush. And boy, was this the trick. It really was magic. White magic. It got into all the places that I still had paint remaining that was white. So it just all looked like it was part of the whitewash. So the client originally requested a whitewash. We sort of talked about like a Pottery Barn finish. So both the combination of this whiskey barrel stain and also the white magic, to me, was just exactly what the doctor ordered. The stain was not coming out of the bottle real well. I think there was a little piece of the stain that was in there that just was preventing it from coming out. So I poured some out in this little container, which was much better, because then I was able to control the amount of the stain that was on the brush. And it seemed like a lot at first, but I also wiped it back as well. I'm really loving it. It's kind of given me that ceruse finish that I was imagining from the get-go. After I was finished, I used Dixie Belle's Clear Coat in Satin to finish the piece off. And because I was using that white magic, I just went ahead and used the same brush. This was a nice, soft, oval brush, and it was just perfect to finish this job. I consulted with my client through Messenger and asked her if she'd like this quirky little knob that I thought would go just perfectly. She agreed, so I used that knob, and then I used some hemp seed oil to treat the inside of the drawers. I left some of the history of the paint on the piece since it was her father's, and I think that she would appreciate it. And I know she's the kind of person that does. She liked it a little bit quirky, so I had already discussed with her how difficult the paint was to remove, that I might leave some of its history, as I called it, or paint that I didn't remove on the inside of the piece. And she was fine with that. So this is just revitalizing the wood on the inside of the drawer. And hemp seed oil is food safe, so she can put silverware in there if she wants to, with no worries. Then it was time to see if I can get this piece back together the way it came. Only better. I started by cleaning the inside of the piece. It was still kind of dusty, untouched from the beginning. I didn't clean it before I got started because I just simply disassembled it and set that aside. I didn't film putting it back together because I was staring at my original photo, or my diagram, the entire time. So now I've got it together, I've got the leaves out, and I'm just cleaning it. I'm using Sprayway. This is just the best stuff. I love it. I'll put the link for it in my description box from Amazon. I do have a little Amazon storefront, so anytime I share a link like that, I appreciate it if you use it, because that way I get a little kickback and you don't pay any more for it. It is better than it was before. It's not absolutely perfect, though. It's an old table, so I think we'll settle for having it be this at least functional. I don't think my client's planning on using the leaves, but just good to know that they will work. It definitely works better than it did before. Remember how it started out? With all that paint, even though you can't tell in the picture. But take a look at her now. Thanks so much for watching today. If you liked this video, how about giving it a thumbs up and share it with a friend? If you haven't already, I'd love it if you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Find Statement Designs on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.